So, do you also have random, part-used transfer sheets that are just kind of doing nothing? Well, let's put them to good use and make our tabletop that little bit more dominating. It's time to represent your factions and raise your banners for the roll. We've all got these spare transfer sheets that have come from our minis over the years, whether it's infantry or vehicles. Let's face it, unless you're covering your miniatures like a madman does his car, then you're going to have a load of spare left over and a load of choice to use from them. So, what if we put these spare transfers to use and make that tabletop that little bit more immersive? Using just standard household items and crafting materials that we all know and love, we're going to turn these into these. Now, the materials we're going to need are really simple. You'll need transfer sheets, obviously, a couple of sheets of TP, paints, PVA glue, and cocktail sticks. Optional materials also include crafting wire, matte varnish, greeballs, and all-purpose adhesive. And it's really that simple. Now, we see so many YouTube crafters out there doing an amazing job and they're talented artists, but I wanted this crafting build to be very simple to make sure that anybody at any level in the hobby can do it. Firstly, take some TP sheets and some thinned PVA glue or matte varnish and coat the pieces so that you can make a more stable material that we can work with later. TP is a rather thin and weakened material, so what we want to do is make sure we coat it with this barrier layer first to strengthen it and then allow us to then paint it further later on without weakening the material further. Once done, set aside and leave it to dry and harden. So the next step we want to think about is scaling, how big we want it to be and where we're going to be hanging them from. For banners hanging off buildings, I find that one sheet of TP cut into thirds or quarters is actually a really good size. For infantry or scattered terrain size banners, just scale this down so that the proportions look right for whatever you're trying to cover. If you want any particular shape to your banners, trace it out in pencil first just so you can see how it looks before you cut it. Once you've worked out the shapes that you want, just cut it away. Scissors or a craft knife will work perfectly fine with this. Now, depending on the faction that you represent, you're going to want to figure out your colour scheme. Ideally, you want to use 2, maybe 3 different colours only, ones that complement each other. If you're not sure which ones work, take a look at your minis for the colour scheme that you've used, or look at your transfer sheets for the shades that they represent. Alternatively, you can also look online. There are great breakdown sheets to show exactly what colours represent each faction that's in the world that you're in. Split these colours into primary and secondary. In this example, I'm going to be doing an Ultramarines banner, so my primary is going to be blue and my secondary will be gold. Paint your banner fully in the primary colour. This can be done with an airbrush like I am here, or with a paintbrush. Either will work just as well. If you want to make this stage a little quicker by not having to wait for each side to dry, cut out a piece of card that is just thinner than your banners on each side to act as a mask for your main colour. My barriers are a size that my metal ruler is perfect for what I need. Make sure to press down on the barrier piece so that the paint doesn't leak through. Once again, wait for this to dry. If you do find that some of your secondary colour has leaked through, wait for it to dry and then just go back with your primary colour and just do a bit of a touch up. Next, we want to work out which transfers we're using for our banner. Ideally, you want to have one main large transfer to focus on and have other smaller transfers around it. I find it best just to cut out the transfers and place them on the banner to get a dry fit and a feel as to how the banner is going to be designed before I start to actually add them on. Make sure to leave a gap at the top of your banner as we're going to use this to our advantage later on. Once you're happy with the layout, you can then get to putting the transfers on the banners. Much like you would do with any miniature, wet the transfers, put them on and wait for them to dry. We now need a way to hang these banners from whatever we want and to make them reusable. In this instance, I'm making banners removable so they can hang off of buildings and objective markers and be taken out as and when I need them to. Hang on, objective markers? Yep, check out the link or at the end of this video and you can see a way to be able to use these banners on your objective markers to make your game so much more immersive. Anyway, because I want these banners to be removable, I want them to be able to hang on their own. Taking two small pieces of craft wire, bend the end into a hook, leaving a gap between the two edges, just like so. All we then need to do is just glue them onto the back of our banners, leaving enough of a distance from the top that we can then fold it over. This is why it's so important to leave a gap between the top of the banner and our first transfer. If you don't have any crafting wire, you can use the cocktail sticks and fashion a makeshift raft that the banner can hang from. Just cut the ends off of a cocktail stick so that the center piece is just shorter than the width of your banner. Then glue the ends of the cocktail sticks together on the piece in the center like this. Once dry, do the same as before and just glue and wrap over. Now that we have a finished banner, we can add battle damage and weathering if it's appropriate to your setting. Bending and folding the banner will add creases and give it a little more depth, as well as a little dry brushing of a dark brown to add that dirt and grime look. You can also add tears and rips to the banner by cutting out sections at random if that fits your aesthetic. If you really want to make your banner stand out just that little bit more, adding extra flourishes like greebles can go a really long way. In this instance, I'm using a 3D printed Aquila and some jewellery chain. The Peugeot seals are just small craft beads that are painted red, and the scripts are just small offcuts of TP that have been painted. And when all's said and done, you'll have a little something that looks like this. I really hope you enjoyed this build, and I hope that these banners make your tabletop that little bit more immersive. Let me know in the comments below what your faction of choice is, and how you think these are going to improve your tabletop. These banners can also make great identifiers for your objective markers in your war games. If you want to see how these can be done in your 40k games, I also have another video that talks about how you can make your objective markers so much more immersive and engaging. If you like what you've seen and you'd like to support the channel, the like and subscribe button go a really long way, as well as sharing the builds with the community. And if you really like what you've seen and you'd like to support the channel even more, I also have a Patreon page that starts at just $4 a month. Patreon members get access to a whole bunch of additional extras, such as private Discord servers, for hints and tips, as well as being entered into a monthly prize draw for some awesome goodies. The link for the Patreon page is in my description below. Once again, Thank you for watching, and this is For the Roll.